Hi, and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And my name is Amanda, also known as Dramatic Mandy.
And today is Sunday, December 9th, 2018. This is episode 321. If you're joining us for the first time, thanks for giving us a shot, and hopefully you'll come back in the future. And as always, if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for joining us for another episode. So, we have lots to show because I've been diagnosed, y'all.
What?
Starditis. It's a true disease.
Took me a second. Is that a terminal one?
It's not terminal.
Good.
But I've hit a rough patch of starditis. So I'm going to show you some of my symptoms as it may be, because I want to cast on all the things, and I have been. And yeah, so let's go right into what's been going on with us the last 2 weeks. We've been home, which has been really nice, and I'm so looking forward to another couple of weeks at home before we're traveling for family vacation to Disney World. So that's starting to become a reality. We've got our wristbands and luggage tags, and supposedly we're supposed to go online and schedule our rides. No, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
Do you have to?
I don't think you have to, but if you want to make sure that you get on rides and you don't have to wait, you can schedule so many rides per day or something. I don't know. But I don't think Andy and I are going to do that because we don't really care that much. We're going as the family, not to, take the most advantage of Disney World. So, but it's nice not having to travel for work, and honestly, we are done with show festival season for 2018, and we are already prepping for 2019, but we will not be on the road again until mid-February, so we've got a good 2 solid months that we get to be at home and hibernate, which is always nice. So other than that, last weekend, Andy and I went to our local yarn store, Les Moutons Rouge Knittery in Bloomington, Illinois, and we set up our trunk show there for our final event, which was Hand-Dyed Holiday, and that took place last Saturday, December 1st, and she ended up holding over our trunk show for the last week. So Amanda and I went to knitting yesterday, and we took down the trunk show and did inventory and packed up the van and all that fun stuff. So we can't thank Kelly, the owner of Les Moutons Rouge Knittery, enough for hosting another one of our trunk shows. And hopefully you were able to take advantage of that event. And I might have purchased some things yesterday while we were knitting. Mandy purchased stuff too. It's true. But not yarn.
No, but still,
She made a purchase, y'all.
Yeah.
It was like confetti dropping from the ceiling in a disco ball, and yeah, fanfare. Frugal, this one may be. Anyway, we just got set up and then got a little cold because we went outside to take some modeled shots of some recent finished objects from both of us. So I will actually tack those on at the end. You may notice a little bit of different editing going on. I'm still using the same program, but I need to edit from our studio computer because my one up here in the spare bedroom where we record and is my craft room is so old that when I bring up iMovie, it pretty much crashes everything on my computer, which was the issue last time. So I'm just going to go downstairs to the newer computer, and hopefully that won't be an issue. But anyway, I'll tack on some of those photos. I think they turned out well for doing them in my backyard. So that's been it for me. We went to knitting last Tuesday at Panera because my trunk show was taking over the table that we knit at. So it was good. Expensive food for not my favorite food. But other than that, I think that's about it. Andy and I have been hanging out every night, and I've been knitting and crafting, and forgot to bring my sock yarn blanket up here. That's all right. I'll show it to you next time. I waited too. I finished off the 4th row to start the next row. Anyway, what have you been up to the last 2 weeks?
hanging out around here. Oh, I dyed my hair.
She did. Twice.
I'm having issues, y'all. So, I like it, but I read some things that it's very difficult to dye your hair dark when it's been bleached, and my hair's been bleached and bleached and bleached for like 5 years. So I did it anyway because I wanted it. And thank you to everyone like here on Instagram, whatever, that was telling me to go for it because I was so scared I was gonna hate it. And I love it. But what I don't love is my hair that's super bleached won't stay dyed dark. So,
and I don't know if you can tell, it's the black with the blue hue in it, and it's really, really pretty where it's taken. But she had issues with the majority of the back of her hair the first day, and so she re-dyed it, and it looked really good yesterday.
then I took
I mean,
a
it
shower.
still had some of it, some issues, some, you know, it's...
Yeah.
But yeah, then you took a shower today, and
Yeah.
yeah.
But whatever. I mean, it looks, because up here it looks great. Like, it's perfect the way I want it. But that hair was grown out, so it wasn't dyed whatsoever. It wasn't bleached already. It was my natural brown hair. So it took really well. Now I'm like, oh, well, it is what it is. Whatever. But I did that this week. Last weekend was super exciting. So I think I've talked about it. My friend's birthday, it came and went. So we went to Rosemont. They have this entertainment district. It's close to Chicago, which it's ridiculous. The drinks there are more expensive than in Chicago, like Wrigleyville, Chicago. I'm like, what is this? This is technically the suburbs, but whatever.
Everything's more expensive in the suburbs.
Yeah, that's true. But so it was super exciting. I got us a nice hotel, and what made me so happy was, because instead of giving her like an expensive gift, I gave her like the whole experience weekend thing. So I got her a nice hotel, and we had a nice dinner and all that. And when she saw the hotel room, because we got like a suite, she was like freaking out, and she was so happy and so grateful, and that's what made me really happy. So it was really cool. We had like a whole living room. I'm used to like a Motel 6, guys, so having like a nicer hotel was like, you know, with like down pillows and everything. But so we went to the Sugar Factory for dinner. It was my first time there. I was like, is it all like sugar? But no, they have regular food. And of course it's pricey and whatnot, but it was delicious. I had a like chicken sandwich, I don't know, but the chicken was like ginormous. But of course they're known for their like specialty drinks, and they're like 60 or 80 ounces or something, but the majority of that is ice, let's be real. But they're like $40 for a drink. It's ridiculous. But part of it is the whole presentation. So the guy comes to your table with the drink with like dry ice in it, and then they pour it, and it like bubbles and all that kind of stuff. So it was cute, and she really enjoyed it. Of course I had to like help her drink most of it, which I'm not a huge fan of like super fruity stuff, so I'm like, whatever. But then we went to a like bar nightclub, and it was pretty fun. It was packed at first, and I was like, y'all, this is getting annoying, because we were like getting pushed into this aisle, and one of the bouncers was like, you gotta get back, blah, blah, blah. But then we went on the dance floor, and they had a MC who was talking it up on the microphone, and he was a lot of fun giving out free drinks to people, so I was okay with that. But overall, we had a really good time. Got to sleep in a little bit, and then went home, hung out with her doggies, and that was about it. Yeah, I haven't done much else. Hung out around here. You know why I haven't done much else? Because I've been knitting every single day, guys. Every day.
She got progress, y'all.
Yes.
She's been working a lot because it's been busy around here.
Yeah.
It's downtime, right? Didn't I just say it's downtime? And like Andy and I have been taking some half days. I'm like, you could take a half day. She was like, I got all this to do. There's a lot of other work that has to get done that we put on this one because she's our minion. We say that with love.
I need to get some overalls, but they're expensive these days.
All right, let's get to the knitting because we have some FOs to show you. So, what's taking about this episode? First things first, I'm wearing mine. I was so close to being done. And y'all, I was initially worried about the fit. I was worried a little bit about the wear of the yarn because this is non-superwash. This is Harrisville Designs Flywheel Sport Weight, which is a rustic wool, which was what I wanted to try, but I was worried that I wasn't going to enjoy wearing it. And then once I got halfway down the body, I tried it on and I was like, okay, it's going to fit.
That face.
And we're back. So, speaking of that face, sorry, slight life-threatening water
I choked
consumption.
on water, y'all.
Water consumption. She choked on water. And this is not chest sweat. It actually came out her nose. I didn't know that actually could happen to people.
Yeah,
But
first time for everything.
I thought you said you've had that happen before.
No, you ever see people like milk come out of their nose?
Yeah, I thought you had that happen.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, she had water come out her nose. So, instead of waiting for it to dry, we're just gonna move forward, and now that's all you're gonna see. Stop staring at my sister's chest. Come on now. Anyway, I was talking about my sweater, not chest. I'm not going to stand up and show everything. Like I said, I will put some finished object photos at the end so that you can see it. But this is the Axton Henley by Ron Strong, who I'm now Instagram friends with, and that's cool. He
He's
commented on
following
my...
you back?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And he commented on my really crappy blocking picture of this. But this was knit out of the yarn that it was designed in, which is Harrisville Designs Flywheel Sport in the Farwell colorway. It called for 11 skeins for my size. I ended up using just over 8. So I have 2 50-gram plus skeins left, and I think I queued a hat to knit with that in the future. But I was looking for buttons for this at Artisan Knitworks when we were there for a trunk show a couple of weeks ago, and nothing was calling my name. And then I came home and I was like, I got some buttons on hand from our local yarn store, Les Moutons Rouge Knittery, and I pulled these ones out, and I think they work really well. They're just kind of a gray plastic, and I think it looks really nice without drawing too much attention to the Henley. So, this side is a little pointier on the top, but it is what it is. I actually am really happy with the neckline on this. I was worried that it was going to be too big like most hand knit sweaters, but I think it's a decent neckline. The sleeves are a little bit big around my wrist. I could have decreased a bit more. And I was worried that the bottom was rolling last time we spoke, and that blocked right out. So it's a nice smooth edging, and I couldn't be happier with it. So I think I'm going to get a lot of wear. Because this is a woolen spun yarn, it is not worsted, which means you can very easily pull it apart. But there's a lot of air in there, which means 1, it keeps you warm. But 2, it's very light. It's not as heavy or as dense as a worsted spun yarn, which most commercial yarns are worsted spun. Everything that we sell at Leading Man Fiber Arts is a worsted spun yarn. It's more of the, not workhorse, but it's more suitable to a larger number of knitters, because a lot of people do not like the Brooklyn Tweed Loft and Shelter and Quarry yarns, which are also milled by Harrisville Designs, because they can come apart very easily. So some people have issues when they're knitting or weaving at ends that the yarn just kind of comes apart. But that's the nature of how it's spun, and it's spun that way for a reason. So, really enjoyed that. This was knit on size 7 throughout, 4.5 millimeter needles. So, very, very happy with this. Andy was even impressed with the fit on this one. And yeah, the quickest I've ever knit a garment, ever. I think it was just over 5 or 6 weeks, somewhere around there. So, banged that out right after Rhinebeck. This I purchased at Rhinebeck 2018 this year, and it's done before the end of 2018. So. The other thing I finished was yesterday at knitting. It is not blocked yet, and that is my Summer Night boomerang. This is a basic stockinette boomerang that I have the recipe for in my on my project page on Ravelry for this project, and any of my boomerang projects contain the recipe. You also will get it if you ever take a breakout session or class with me regarding boomerangs. So this one used Regia, Arnie, and Carlos design line in the Summer Nights colorway, and I really wanted to knit this to show how a long color changing self patterning yarn would knit up. And it is curling a bit. It will block out once I block it. But you can see here, yeah, the stripes do get thinner, but you can tell it does keep. And I added, what was really cool about to me, this is the most noticeable stripe, right? Are these ones. And this was two 50-gram balls, and I joined one in somewhere. I don't know, I already wove in the end. I think I magic knotted. And they look equidistant. So, very happy with that. And, yeah, so this is going to be a nice boomerang once it gets, rocked out. And I'll be using this as a class sample because I will be teaching my first not real professional, but I have been professional meaning you've been paid. I have been paid for one other gig, but this is like my first really professional gig. I'll be teaching at the Pittsburgh Knit and Crochet Festival in March in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I'm teaching my boomerang class, and I want to get a number of samples done up before then, showing different mods and things that you can do. So this one's showing long color changing yarn. So
what I think this is so cute for is like this time of year, especially because it is almost that like ugly sweater-esque, like, you know what I mean? Because it just has that.
It has that Norwegian's faux isle.
But it would be so cute, like, if you didn't want to, like, wear an actual ugly sweater, but you were going somewhere like that. That's such a cute, like, accent piece.
It's a cute, ugly neck.
No, it's not ugly at all. I think it's really cute, but it gives off that
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have an ugly sweater already for this year, year number 3, and I got Andy one, and we're gonna be kind of matching. Next
time we record, can we wear like?
We can, because
Yay.
It's like 2 days. It's the day before Christmas Eve.
Cool.
That's when we're recording. It's the 23rd because I had to look.
Deal.
So, yeah.
We're in PJs, y'all.
This girl may have a onesie. I'm just saying. All right, so that's what I finished, and that was knit on a size 6 US, which is a 4mm needle, and that's it. Nothing for you?
No, because I've been working really hard on one thing specifically so that I can get it done. So, not
and
yet.
Beat me is what she's getting at. Nothing like a little bit of sibling rivalry, and she's like, I'm gonna throw down, and I'm like, you go, because I'm just gonna cast on everything. But all right, let's move into what is performing this week. What are we working on? I've got a lot of things, so I'm going to continue talking, and she's just going to smile and Vanna it up for me. Even though you're no longer blonde, but that's okay. So first for me, oh my god, there's stuff everywhere. First for me is my Paulette, and this is a knit along we're doing in the Leading Men Fiber Arts group. And this is knit out of our showcase base, which is 100% superwash merino. And I'm using the colors Pretty Petals and Heliotrope. And it's an asymmetrical shawl with stripes and some lace, and I am still working my way back to you, babe. No? All right. I am working my way through the stripes is what I'm doing. So here I am. And it's going. I haven't worked on it too much, but yeah, that purple really pops. So it'd be cool to see the lace done up in it when it is done. And this is knit on a size 5 US, which is a 3.75mm needle, and I'm carrying the yarns up the side, which makes it easier to do. And there's that, so I only got a few more rows done on that. I think I'm still in repeat 8 of 12 before I can go to lace. Somebody's already in the lace on theirs. But no way, they're not eligible for prizes. Plus, she's not using any of our yarns, so there's that. Alright, next up, I cast on early and now I'm already falling behind. But I showed you last episode that I stashed myself up with my own It's Not an Advent mini skein collection, and we dyed up 25 sets of those, and those went fairly quickly, so thank you to everyone who purchased one. I hope you enjoy them. I am so enjoying the knit on this, and Mandy is getting really excited to be able to cast on the scarf version of this when she's done with her Paulette. But I started, and I was going to keep up with the Adventure Scarf / Wrap by Amba O'Brien. And this calls for scraps, but ideally you use 25 different mini skeins as in an advent, but you can narrow that down to however you want to do that and mix up the colors however you want. You could do it in one color, you could do it in two and alternate, you could do it in a gradient, whatever. But I'm doing 25 mini skeins, and I am about to introduce the 7th mini skein. I gotta wind that up, but I've been working on that. I worked on it last night, and it is somewhere. I just don't. There we go. I've got project bags everywhere. So these are. Oh, yeah, my once a year that I pull out my Art and Stitch Toot of Chicago. I'm not sure if she's still making bags or not. But she gifted me this before to the podcast, and I pull it out every holiday season. So, I'm using all the Showstopper mini skeins, and here I am thus far. There's no ruining the pattern because it's the same repeat over and over, but it is a biased wrap. So, where we've gotten to so far, starts off with Purple Rain, goes into Dreamweaver, Mary's Jam, True Love, Raspberry Parfait, and I just got done with Dames at Sea, and I'm going to introduce Perfection. So, super exciting. I am loving this. It is not hard lace, and once you get through the repeat once or twice, you pretty much know what you're doing, and you're good to go. She did make some modifications after it was released on December 1st, or after the knit-along started, but I had already started mine, so I was not going to change any of the little mods that she did. It wasn't changing any stitch counts or anything, but how some of these decreased lines work, and I was like, it's fine. So, but I'm super loving that. Look at that. It's going to be amazing. Not to toot my own horn.
Toot toot.
So I'm excited to get this one done, and then I'm excited to start, next year earlier in the game. I'm going to put together one every year that it's not an advent, but you can buy the set so you can participate in the advent, thing. All right, and that's being knit on a size 5 US 3.75 millimeter needle. Everything's on a 5. I did cast on a new pair of socks. If you want to see.
I mean, do we have a choice?
That's what you're here for. This is in one of my MCG makes. Sorry, it's Multi-Crafty Guy makes. And that's my friend Matt out of Minnesota. This is one of his. He upcycles plaid bags and shirts and pants and makes them into project bags. And he was just at vending at Stephen B's because he's local to that area. He's from Minneapolis. And so, yeah, check out his bags. He's MCG Makes on Etsy. But I'm using some Ethereal Fibers Nebula sock in the Natural History Nudie Run colorway. It's from her autocorrect series. That's why it's got a weird name. And then I'm going to be putting in some contrasting heels and toes in Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper Intermission and Sandcastle. So I'm knitting these on a size 1 US, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle. I got through the cuff and the first round, you can't even see, but it's going to have a cable panel going down the front on this side, and then on the opposite sock I'm going to move the cable panel to this side and switch the cable so that they go in opposite directions. But that's how it's knitting up thus far. And this is loosely based on the Socks on a Plane pattern by Laura Linneman, who's going to be one of our teachers at our retreat in fall 2019, Knitting at the Estate, which I'll talk about more at the end of the show. So that I cast on. That's going to be a nice, good travel project because I found out that not this coming weekend, but the weekend before Christmas, we are going to Indiana. Surprise, you're watching the dogs. Yeah, I got told that. To go have dinner. Anyway. Then I cast on a new sample.
Oh my god, stop.
It's for you.
Oh yeah.
When it's done being a sample. But, so we've got really exciting news, and I'll share it here. I was going to share it at the end, but Lithium and Fiber Arts is bringing in 2 brand new bases in the beginning of 2019, and those are going to be a worsted weight and a fingering weight non-superwash, 100% merino. And you might ask, why would you want non-superwash? Well, if you're a garment knitter, you would want non-superwash because it is not going to stretch and grow the way superwash wool can. In case you're unfamiliar, superwash wools either have, think of a hair, right? Which is what is on a sheep. There are actually, if you magnify that, there are scales on the hair. And that's what causes things to felt, are those hairs kind of catch on each other, and that's what happens when you don't superwash something. When you superwash a yarn, you either coat those scales or they're chemically removed so that those scales don't, there's no more scales to grab onto each other. So they, can run smoothly, and you can put it in a washing machine and everything, and it doesn't felt. Well, think about those yarns on each other as the weight of a sweater is heavy, right? Well, the weight of the sweater, those yarns on each other are just going to start growing. And that's why people say, superwash, once you put it in water, it grows, and then the weight of it throughout the day, it grows. And as a garment knitter, you either come to learn to knit that way and accept it and modify, or you knit with non-superwash, which those scales have not been removed, so as it grows, they're going to not, grow because those scales are going to grab onto each other. Does that make sense? I haven't taught in a year and a half, so I might not be the most succinct in what I'm trying to say. But I know a lot of people have been asking for non-superwash. So we listened, and we are going to provide you with that. So we're super excited. So I dyed up a sweater's lot of our new December 2018 Color of the Way of the Month called Bent Neck Lady, which this one came up with. She comes up with all the best names anymore. And that is in inspiration to a character from the Netflix show The Haunting of Hill House, which we talked about and we both loved. So let me show you that. This is living in one of my bags by Awesome Granny Bags. It's a library theme. She has donated several bags for us to use and review on the podcast, and we couldn't be more thankful and appreciative.
I haven't seen this yet.
And by the way, I gotta show you the lining on this one. So here I'm getting tired of talking, y'all. I don't talk this much. I wound up the first 2 skeins because I am alternating, and the 2 different dye lots I did up came out slightly different, so I am alternating. And I got done with the back hem, and then I've cast on for the front hem, and I did a tubular cast on, which is amazing. I might have done once before, but I'm a person, I can just do long tail. But this is actually really cool for ribbing. So this is the back hem, which is a little bit longer. It causes the back to be a little bit longer than the front. And here is the ribbing so far. And you can see the subtle tonality in the yarn. You can see the kind of pops and flecks of color, but it's very soft. But here, look at the tubular cast on. Do you see how that looks like the ribbing just folds over? So cool, so easy, no different than a long tail. Nothing you have to do things differently, and there's a 2 setup rows. But other than that, it's not going out of your way. So I did cast on for the front hem, which is about 1 inch shorter, and then it's joined in the round. Now, the Weekender, did I tell you I'm knitting the Weekender by Andrea Mowry? I don't think I did. The Weekender by Andrea Mowry is a big oversized sweater, kind of boxy. It is a boxy construction, but it is in reverse stockinette, which means you would purl the whole entire sweater. Well, most people don't want to do that, and most people are faster knitters than purlers. So what she actually has you do is knit the sweater inside out, so you're knitting, and then you'll turn it inside out, and it'll be the reverse stockinette there's some faux seam construction. What I did recognize this morning when I was casting on this front hem is I'm going to have to alternate skeins, right? And you carry those up the side on the inside. But because I'm knitting this inside out, I'm going to have to bring the yard forward and actually carry it where I can see it. So it looks like I'm carrying it on the outside because in the end I'm going to flip it inside out. Does that make sense? And I'm super glad that I realized this because I want to say that the mom from the girls at the Yarn Cafe, God, I know the daughter's Tristan. I'm sorry. Anyway, I think she knit one and she knit halfway up the body and she was like, I am carrying the yarns on what is going to be the right side. Does that make sense? And so she had to rip the whole body out to then. So I'm glad I was thinking. It's hard for me sometimes. So that's The Weekender by Andrea Mowry. Again, I'm using Leading Meta Fiber Arts. That's the worsted weight, which is going to be called West End. And it is in the colorway Bent Neck Lady. And it's knit using a size 7 through 9 US, which is a 4.5 to 5.5 millimeter needle. And then I didn't bring up my granny square blanket to show you. So I got none of that. And I'm doing swatches. And that's about it. So that's it for me.
I've been stuck on one thing.
Ooh, you're dry now.
Thanks for pointing that one out. Alrighty. So our knit along, the Paulette shawl, I've been knitting every single day. I haven't been able to stop. At first I was like, oh, I want to beat this one. Now I'm just so impressed that I've been knitting something so fast. This is probably the fastest I've knit like besides like a hat or something, you know what I mean? That I'm like, it's like moving me forward. I want to do
Motivating
more.
you.
Yeah. So
it's giving you some mojo jojo.
Yeah. And it makes me laugh because when we started this, I was worried I wasn't going to get done by the 31st. And now I'm like...
And no, I'm probably not. And she's going to be like banging it out weeks ahead of time.
Yeah. So I'm using... Oh man, I don't remember the colors. Let's see. I can never say this.
Wollmeise?
Yeah. Sure. There's not much left.
Hey, there's one of your blonde hairs.
Aww. That word.
Wollmeise?
Yeah. It didn't have an actual colorway name because it was part of a swap or something.
Yeah, it said it was like, make friends, swap me. That's a
like,
really
you
rich
can't really tell, but yeah.
Cabernet color.
Yeah.
Shades of purple.
And then I'm also using, and that's for the, what do you want to call it? The non-lace color. And then this was Acme Fibers. It was hand dyed, just a random color, so there's also like no name. But it's like a...
It's like a taupe.
Yeah.
Platinum.
But it kind of, with the purpley color, it kind of comes off silver when I knit it. So I'm using that. And if I can get it untangled.
Once she got to the lace, she learned real quickly about putting stitch markers in.
Well, you see, I like live PD, and then something happens on the TV, and then I'm like, oh, where was I? You know, that kind of thing. Let's see which side's the right side.
Well, and I told her too, I said, I'm even using stitch markers on the Adventurous wrap, or Adventurer wrap, which is not hard, but it's better to know within a repeat you're off, rather than by the end of the row, and then having to backtrack and figure it out.
Yeah. So, this calls for a size 5, but I kind of looked for mine and I couldn't find it. I was too lazy, so I used the size 6. Also, I'm a pretty tight knitter, so I was like, whatever. And it's probably going to be a little, like, bigger than yours, but I think it's kind of, I don't know, it works. So,
Mine seems really small, so I'm not sure
I don't know.
what's up with that.
But so there's...
Though I don't know, because mine's probably about that big right now where you're holding it. And
yeah, and there's...
But I've got quite a few more repeats to go, so...
So there's that. Can I use a hand? Thank you, thank you.
Look at all this knitting she's been doing.
So yeah, that's
and there's
all
some
of them.
heft to her.
Yeah.
She's got some knitting in this thing. And then she got to the lace yesterday or the day before.
It's weighed down because of all of these stitch markers, but
Be
you
careful,
can't even
I don't want
really...
you to lose your stitches.
Oh. I'll just show you a little.
I'll say, hold it. Yeah, hold it.
But there's some.
Look at this one doing lace. I mean, she did the Lamina wrap, which will be at the end of the show. We got pictures of that. But she's doing like full on lace.
Yeah. So there's that. Yeah. And I'm excited. There's only, I think I have like 4 or 5 more rows of lace, and then you repeat the 18 rows one more time, and then there's a little garter band. So guys, I'm so close. But yeah, I actually used every stitch marker that I owned, and then I found I don't know what you call these.
The light bulb stitch markers.
Yeah.
You know, the Edison bulb ones.
I found those because you're kind of gradually increasing just a little bit, so I needed those, but I had those. But yeah.
Awesome.
So I'm getting there.
Sweet. Is that all you've been working on the past 2 weeks? I mean, you've got great progress.
I think I may have done some of my boomerang, but I can't be sure how much. We can check. So yeah, I'm still working on the boomerang. There's a little bit more. It looks like I've done nothing compared to the other one, but this one increases slower.
Yeah, it's the same shape essentially, but the other one increases
So
2 stitches every 2 rows. This increases 1 stitch every 2 rows. So it's a different ratio.
Yeah.
You get it technically upside down, but that's okay.
Whatever. Same difference.
But, yeah.
Oh, it looks so cool.
It's psychedelic.
I know, for real. I'm like,
Ooh. Yeah, man.
All right.
All right. Yeah. Sweet.
So that's about it, because I've been focused, and you know me, I'm not like this one that has to have 20 things going at the same exact time.
You're not a knitting floozy like me. I get around. Anyway, let's move on. In rehearsal, what are we gonna cast on? Because I'm gonna cast on something else new here soon. Yeah. Actually, I am. So, when I go to my local yarn store, I like to knit on things that I purchase there. And so I'm trying to actually work backwards because I've been making a lot of purchases. And then, you know, things get lost in the wayside or you forget about it. So I'm like, been going back through my stash and I was like, what's the oldest thing that I bought there? And trying to cast it on. And the oldest thing that I had gotten was a skein of hedgehog fibers. Or this is the oldest that I haven't used yet. Hedgehog fibers sock, in the crystal colorway. And I had purchased another skein in the film noir colorway, and I was going to do the Stripe Study by Vera Valimaki. Well, I used the film noir colorway in my Find Your Fade, so this was left by itself. And I was telling Andy, I said, you should have been proud of me, because I was like, well, I can go to Knitting on Tuesday and find another skein to go with this, and, you know, then knit the shawl. But I'm like, I have a whole room of stash. I should just find something. Even though it's got a project allocated to it, I'll find something. So it took me 20 minutes to find this, because it was not where I thought it was, and it was actually on this shelf, which is not organized at all, stuffed under things that I couldn't find. Anyway, so I pulled out a bunch of different options, and ultimately what I decided to go to was a yarn that was gifted to me at Stitches Texas, which unfortunately is no longer, this September 2017, so over a year ago, by the owner, Linda, of Yarnies of Texas, and this is her 70/30 merino silk base. It's a single ply in the Austin City Limits colorway, and so I thought this would be really pretty together for the Stripe Study by Vera Valimaki. So what it looks like is alternating bands of color in V. It's like a big V-neck, but one side is shorter and one side has bigger stripes, so it's done with short rows. So I thought those would go really nicely together. So, that I'm going to cast on soon. Ish. We'll see. Maybe Tuesday.
Number 13 or something.
Hey, don't judge. I got the yarn. I can do it. I can do what I want. You'll be the one with the finished objects every week, and I'll be like, I made 2 stitches of progress on this one project. Anyway, is there anything you're going to cast on?
I would like to, once I'm done with this, I want to continue with my other projects that I have that I've been slacking on. They need some love. But I would like to do the scarf version of the, what is it called?
Adventurer.
Yeah. So that's like
half the size.
Yeah, basically what you saw of his. And I'm doing the same. I'm taking what's left of his colors and using it.
Yeah, because in a 20-gram mini, you actually have enough yardage. You should have enough yardage to do the wrap and the scarf out of each color. So it's kind of cool to show that out of our yarns. Let's talk about behind the scenes then. Let's move into spinning. So I finally skeined up today the Loop Bullseye Bump in the Cryptic colorway, which is a mashup of fibers. I don't have the tag. But I spun it, I chain plied it, so it kept it as a progression or a gradient, but it's not a true gradient. And here it is. So it goes from like a black into, I don't even remember.
Ooh, there's a little sparkle.
There's some sparkle in here, but it's got black, like a taupe, a caramel, a cream, highlighter, yellow twice, and black again. It's got a little bit of sparkle in there, a mashup of fibers, but this was 6 ounces, and I got 422 yards, so it's about a sport weight. But yeah, I was super proud of it. I have not decided if I'm going to list it in the shop. I think I probably will, just because I don't have any hand spun in there, but I'm also kind of tempted to knit it. But I'm like, when am I going to get to it?
Yeah.
So,
this room.
if it can go to a good home, then I'd rather do that. So, I do need to wash and thwack it still, but I wound it off this morning. So you either like snap it or they call it thwacking because there are people who actually go outside on their porch and like beat it against the railing because it kind of sets the twist. Mm-hmm. So, but I gotta tell you, ever since I've started spinning on my Hanson mini spinner, I may not spin as fine, but my yarn is not overspun, because when you take something off as a skein, it should have like a half twist to it, but if it has more than that, you kind of put too much twist into your yarn, and I always have either just straight on or a half twist to it. I never overspend my hand spin, so that makes me really happy. But yeah, so there's that. 422 yards and a 6 ounce skein, so finished that, and then I used my random number generator on my Fiber Stash, and it picked for me some Daisy knits that I picked up at Fiber U in 2016. This is not even old stash in my Fiber Stash. This is 60% superwash merino, 30% bamboo, 10% nylon, and it did not have a colorway name, but I called it Roses and Mustard. So I'll probably do a 2-ply spin on this fractally spun. We'll see. But yeah. So there's that. That's what I'm going to be putting on the wheel here tomorrow. All right, let's move into the scene shop, our other crafting. Let me show you some cross stitching, shall I? I have no weaving to show you. I'm still weaving the wrap scarf out of some Leading Men Fiber Arts Ghost Light, our lace weight. In the warp is My Lip Gloss Be Poppin', and the weft is Only Have Eyes for You. So I'm really excited to show you that when it gets done, but lace weight takes a bit longer. So this is my cross stitch that I'm currently working on. It is a dimensions kit in the moment. It says Live Life in the Moment. So I'm actually working on the word live, as you can see there. And yeah, I've been working on this for a while. I did not use the 14 count Aida that came with the kit. I am stitching this on a 28 count even weave. So that's that. that's all for me. What are you working on? Did you work on your cross stitch at all?
So here's the thing. I've been stuck working on my knitting. But I decided today I'm gonna take out my cow just to look at how cute he is, and then
Maybe you'll be inspired.
Yeah, I'm already wanting to do it again.
Look at how big that nose is.
I know
It's like you can inhale your face.
Okay, now that I just saw it, I'm like, okay, I gotta get to that nostril. All right.
Maybe tonight you'll work on it. Give yourself tonight. You know what I mean?
I know, but I'm so close to the other thing. I'm like, but he's so cute. So, there's that. What else? Nothing else.
Well, let's move into In the Spotlight. What are we watching and reading then? I've actually been home and enjoying a lot of spending time with my man on the couch in the evenings, rather than going our separate ways, which is what we normally do. We've been really trying to focus and spend time in the same room. I think that's important for a relationship. Do you know what I mean? I think too many times, even being in the same room, people can be in the same room, but they're not, if you know what I mean. So we're really trying to make a focused attempt at spending time together, even though we spend all of our time together, right? But
it's not the same.
Yeah. Focused time together. So we are watching the Great British Baking Show while we eat, and usually towards the end of the night, if I'm trying to finish up like a pattern repeat or a row. We got the finale to watch on that of season 6, so enjoying that. We finished watching House of Cards. That series supposedly is over. I did not like the end. We both, Andy and I, were surprised that it was over. We didn't even think that the episode was over, let alone the season, let alone that was the series ending. The more I thought about it afterwards, I mean, I kind of see where they were going and whatnot, but I didn't care for it. I enjoyed the series overall, but the ending, I was like, we started some new shows between Amazon Prime and Hulu. On Prime, we started watching Lore, which actually Amanda informed me is based off of a podcast. It's more of like a visual podcast than it is an actual written TV show. But it takes a different piece of folklore and history and kind of explains it with reenactments in each episode. So we watched the first 2 episodes from season 1, and the first one covered a family strife during the consumption epidemic, pandemic in New England in the 1870s to the turn of the century, and basically the lapses in medical information that they had and the extents people would go to try to save their families from this, whether it be, folklore or myth or whatnot. And basically to the end of the show, they kind of drew comparisons between what happened with his family and how the myths of vampires and Dracula came to be. And so they were like, this one girl was kind of the first American vampire, is what they got to. So, and then episode 2 was how the occipital lobotomy was invented. And Andy did not know how those tools were used in the lobotomy. And if you are a bit squeamish, you might not want to watch episode 2. But basically, the first tool that was ever used was an ice pick that they put in through your eye socket. So it was interesting, but it was about the doctor who kind of invented it and got a lot of fame and fortune out of it, and how that kind of died down throughout the ages. So we look forward to spacing out some new episodes of that. Then last night on Hulu, we started The Handmaid's Tale, which, everybody's been raving about. It's nothing new. And we watched the first 2 episodes, and it is a bit screwed up. It is a bit dark. I knew that, but it is... So, we'll be watching more of that. I've been kind of pushing him to watch it, and I think he's now, he's watched the first 2 episodes. He's like, all right, we'll watch it. On Mandy's suggestion, I've been watching a few episodes of Haunted on Netflix. I think it's rather laughable. She thinks it's good. I don't know. It seems a bit forced. So, meh. If you want something quick with of a spooky nature,
You just can't think too much into it. You just have to watch it, and it's just fun. You need to have an imagination if you're into that sort of stuff, like I am.
I did watch 2 movies this past week. Andy had to go back home and slash Indianapolis for traveling with his dad for medical reasons. So I was by myself one night and I watched 2 movies. I watched Cam, these are both Netflix original movies. Cam is about a young girl whose profession is doing live cam shows, which is an actual profession that is out there on both genders. And you can probably imagine what they do on camera. If you don't know, just imagine. But anyway, and it's kind of about the whole culture behind these cam sites. And basically, she is pushing herself to get risen in the ranks because these girls are ranked according to how many viewers and tokens and things they earn. And she's pushing to get into the top 50. And one day she notices that one of her shows is on, but she's not performing. So she thought that they were replaying one of her performances, but they were not. It was somebody who looked exactly like her pretending to be her. And it's interesting to try to figure out what they were doing. In the end, she goes to very great lengths to win back her identity, so to speak. And I thought it was okay. It was an interesting look at that culture. I do not feel like they did enough explanation of how it happened, nor do I feel like she learned anything in the end. So take that as you may. I did watch another movie called Apostle, which is about a man who was believed to be dead, and it's about, I don't know, turn of the century, 1910s, 20s, in England somewhere. I'm not sure, it doesn't really tell you. But his family contacts him and says, your sister's been taken and your father's gone crazy, and they've taken her to this island of religious cult, essentially, and they've requested a ransom, and we don't want to pay it until we know she's alive. So we need you to infiltrate this cult and lay eyes on her before you pay the ransom. And so it's a very interesting look at this cult, but then you realize there's a supernatural element to it, and then I was like,
Did you ever finish it?
I did. Andy sat and watched it with me the last 45 minutes, even though he had no idea what was going on, because he wanted to spend time with me. But I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it, and of course, once he started watching, it got super gory at the end, and I'm like, sorry. It was not this gory. It was actually good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it better than Cam, but.
Well, question: would you go such great lengths to save your sister like that boy did? I've seen this movie.
Of course I would.
I like that gory supernatural stuff at that.
I wouldn't have minded if it led with that, but it was halfway through the movie, and then I was like, okay, just kidding, we're supernatural.
Yeah.
All right, and that's it for me. I started listening to a new book, but I'll tell you about it when I finish it.
Well, unlike last time where I watched a bunch of movies, I haven't watched any movies, but I have been watching my TV shows at night. Most of my fall shows are over with, but there's a really good show on Wednesdays on... It's either NBC or ABC, one of those. I don't remember. I think ABC. It's called All the Little Things, not to be confused with All the Small Things, which is a great Blink-182 song. Anyways, so it is on its, next week will be its 10th episode, so if you wanted to start watching it, you'd have to go way back. But it starts out with they're 5 friends, and one of them, who is the most put together, he's got everything you can think of, he's the one that ends up committing suicide. And I'm not spoiling anything because this is how the trailers start out and whatnot. But it basically just goes through all of these friends and their lives, and there's flashbacks and all the good things and the bad things. And I think, so I am not on the This Is Us bandwagon. When it started, I was too busy with school and all these things, so I never got into watching TV. But I think if you like a This Is Us kind of thing, you would really like this. I feel like it's not like similar storylines, but similar in
all the feels.
Yeah. So I successfully cry every single time I go to bed, like, crying, but it's really, really good. Really good acting too. Then I watched Riverdale, which, it's terrible acting, but I love it. It has a 50s vibe to it. More of a teeny bopper kind of thing.
Well, it's based off the characters from the Archie comics.
Yeah.
So I'm in season 2, I think. I haven't watched it in a while on Netflix.
Well, the thing that I love about it is, so there's, the teenagers are like actors from this new generation, but then all of the parents are like actors from the 80s shows and movies and stuff, which is really cool.
And 90s.
Yeah. But then I watch, he can attest to this, I'm obsessed with Live PD every Friday and Saturday night on A&E. Watch it. It's essentially Cops, but it's live, and the production is way better. It's super awesome, and there's some really attractive cops. And they do so much with the canines, and these dogs, they're so awesome. But they also have shows on like Wednesday and Thursdays that aren't live. They've got like spin-off ones, PD Cam, which is really cool. It's on Thursdays, hosted by the hottest cop ever. I'm sorry, he's smoking. But they use the body cam, the dash cam, and then helicopter cam, and that's all you see, so there's no professional cameras whatsoever, and it gets really intense. Like, I really enjoy how, because while there are a lot of bad cops, and we see that constantly in the news, there's more good than there is bad, and so they show the good, the bad, and the ugly, especially on Live PD, because there are some cops that you're just like, really, did you have to do that? Like, you see it all, which I think it's really good in this climate that we're in right now. So I've been watching that like crazy, and that's why I was messing up on my lace a little bit, because I was like, oh, what's going on the TV? So that's all I've been really watching. Listening to a lot of podcasts. There's a podcast, so I listen to quite a few, but there's one I want to share with you that I think you should listen to. If you like true crime, like I obviously do, there's one that's really nice. It's called Criminal, and the, I guess, narrator, host, you would say, her name is Phoebe Judge, and she has the most soothing voice you have ever heard. Like, they have this running joke with it where they had a little special episode of people calling in to like try to sound like Phoebe Judge, but they're like little snippet. Every episode it's, I'm Phoebe Judge and this is Criminal. It's great. But they're pretty short episodes, where most podcasts I listen to are like an hour and a half long. These are only about 20-25 minutes, and typically every one is a different little snippet episode of just like criminal behavior, I guess. So they interview people, and a lot of times they're interviewing like actual criminals. Other times they're interviewing people, maybe cops or whatever. But the most recent episode is called Witness, and it was about the witness protection program. But they talk about like super, like murder, and then they talk about like almost funny criminal
What's
aspects.
super murder? How does that
I was
differ
gonna
from
say
murder?
like super bad things like murder, like super criminally.
But instead, super murder came out.
Mm-hmm. Maybe there's an episode about a Superman murderer. I don't know. There's a really cool
Called
episode.
Kryptonite.
Well, that kills Superman.
So it would be the Superman killer. Murderer.
Anyway,
The super murderer.
there's just this one episode that's my favorite that you should take a listen to. Is about a guy who hijacks a plane like way back in the day when planes were new, and he jumps out with a parachute and they're interviewing him. It's really cool. But yeah, I just think it's a good podcast. Like if you have a short commute to work, because they're only like 20 minutes or whatever, check it out.
Cool.
So that's about it. I know, I'm boring.
No, I'm just getting tired. Even though I took a nap today for an hour. I like naps. Naps are my jam. Alright, stash enhancement. So I picked up 2 things yesterday while at my local yarn store. Again, Les Moutons Rouge Knittery in Bloomington, Illinois. And the first was something that I knew she was going to be getting in for 9 months, and she finally got it in. She's like, yeah, I'm getting a new men's knitting pattern book. And while I don't enjoy all the patterns in here, I will share with you the ones that I did queue. But this is Rowan's Journeyman. And these are all designed by Martin Story, who does a lot of men's designs for Rowan. And personally, I appreciate his designs. I wish Rowan would also branch out, because he definitely has an aesthetic, which is nice, but I think that there could be also some more modern takes on things. Anyway, and some of these pictures of this model, I'm like, come on, dude.
That was kind of cute.
Anyway, there's a couple of scarves, and I'm like, meh. So this one was interesting, and then I thought that there was actually too much cabling, and I would not do the hood on this, which is called Brando. Just because I know how heavy knitted hoods can be, and you don't actually wear them. Do not care for that sweater, or hat, or scarf. There's a sweater vest in here, and I'm not of that age yet. This one I kind of like. This is Heston. I think I did put it in my queue, but again, when you have a stomach, it distends the cables and draws attention to them. This one I definitely queued. I really like this one. I'm all about the cardigans. This is the McQueen.
It's like a Mr. Rogers vibe.
Before you were on the podcast earlier this year, if you remember previously on Dramatic Knits, I actually knit a Mr. Rogers cardigan called the Roger-esque, but it was too small. And the yarn I used, it hugged every lump and bump I have, and I ended up giving it to Amber's son. This one I did not care for because of the turtleneck, and I didn't care for the stitch pattern. This one I liked too. This is the Mitchum. And I do like the shawl collar on there. And yeah, this picture, this is what I'm talking about. So I like this. This is a simple, looks like a raglan construction. This is called Kane. But look at his face. Blue steel. Yeah. But that was just a simple construction. And then there's some Aran weight socks in here, and I was like, and they have a color card of their different, it's all knit using their tweed yarns, hemp tweed, felted tweed, and felted tweed Aran, and then it goes into the patterns. So I picked that up because there was enough patterns that together would be cheaper than purchasing them individually online, because they're like $7 a piece. And actually, a lot of Martin Stories Rowan things I can't get individually. They don't sell them individually online. So I picked that up. And then as we were knitting, she had some of her trunk shows, other people's trunk shows towards the front of the store where we were sitting. And, everybody's all about the silk mohair. And she had stitched together Studios silk mohair. And I was thinking of knitting a boomerang holding fingering weight and this mohair together because everybody's on the mohair bandwagon. And I was like, well, I could show how you could hold it together to get a different effect in your boomerang. And I went with a couple different pairings, and I asked Amanda, and I knew I wanted it to have high contrast with whatever I held it with so that it would really show the mohair. Because if they matched or they were the same color, you'd get that fuzziness, but it wouldn't really show what it's doing. And as it's a sample, I really wanted to accentuate that. This color, called Devil's Lettuce, was glowing. And you can kind of see it there. It glows. It's got like some coppers, but it's got that like radioactive green in there. So I was like, all right, I just want to go with this because it's literally glows. And I was like, well, and I was going to pick up another one of her sock to go with it. And then I was like, Steve, you need to go with something that's really going to accentuate it. So I decided to pair it with black. This is our Showstopper intermission. Showstopper in Darkest Hour. And do you see how that's going to pop off the black when I hold it together? So I'm going to knit a simple stockinette boomerang holding these two together. And that'll be another sample for my class here. When am I going to cast that on? I don't know.
When's your class?
March. So relatively soon. Anyway.
It'll be like a week before. It'll be last minute. It'll be like...
I lost our show notes.
Avalanche.
So that's all that I got. What did you get?
I didn't get yarn, but mostly because I was too lazy to try to find my size 5. If I want to do this scarf, I'm gonna need a size 5, so I picked up a set of Knitter's Pride Zing size 5 needles. And then, so our local yarn store, Kelly gets a lot of little stitch markers, and I always see little cute ones, and I'm like, nah, I don't need it. Well, the Brachiosaurus has always been my favorite dinosaur, and she got these like months ago, and I've like, no, I don't need it. Like, maybe later, if it's still here, then it's meant to be. And I was like, yesterday, I was just like, you know what? I'm buying something anyway. It's still here. So I got it, and it's on my thing right now. But I'll try to show it to you because it's just so cute. Look at the little Brachiosaurus. It's the best. Because they don't eat meat, and they're so cute. They're long necks. So yeah, I got that. I bought something, guys.
I also did get a cable needle and some darning needles because, I couldn't find my cable needle or something. I don't know. It's somewhere. But I needed another one for that sock, and can always use more darning needles. So, so that's what I got. So let's move on to our giveaway this week. We were contacted by Mary, who is a dyer out of, I believe, Bloomington, Indiana. And her company is Rebel Pearl. And she offered to send us yarn either to keep or give away. And she wanted to know what color we wanted. I was like, surprise us. I don't care. So we are actually going to give away one of the skeins. And then I'm going to open up. She sent a surprise skein. And we're going to open that up. And one of us is going to keep that. We don't know who. But we'll see who lays claim to it. So this week we are going to be giving away a skein of her 4 Plies of the Apocalypse base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 436 yards. And this is in the colorway More of a Retro Pastiche colorway. So it's these kind of aqua turquoise blues with some rich plum colors and some other bright purples. And we already have the thread up in the group with a picture. And I ask you to go to rebelpearl.com, which I've linked to, and to check out her shop and tell me, what do you enjoy most from her shop? So as always, we like to direct our traffic, our viewers over to these kind makers' shops so that you can look at their wares, since they were kind enough to donate to the podcast. So thank you so much, Mary, for donating that. This is up for grabs this week. You must be a member of the Dramatic Knits video podcast group, and you can only post once, and you must go to her shop and tell me what you like most from her shop. So she then sent a mystery colorway in this packaging here. And it's the same base, and the colorway is a horse of a different color, semi-solid. So we're going to open this up and see what it is. So we know it's a semi-solid. Do we think it could maybe be brown? What do you think?
But it's a horse of a different color.
I guess I should keep the ball band, huh? Do you want to help? Oh my god. You don't need to be delicate. Ooh. Look at that.
It's not brown.
I think it has your color on it. Or your name on it.
Does it? Why? Because it's a girly color?
No, because you kind of like those mauve tones, don't you?
Yeah.
So, and you need more stash than I do. But look at that. So this is one of her horse of a different color. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty. It's got a lot of depth to it. So.
Is this mine?
Yeah. It's for us. She said we could keep it, so that's why I said you can have it.
Guys, I have stash enhancement.
So thank you so much, Mary. That was
Thank
super
you.
cute of you to wrap it up too and surprise us. So, yeah, I can take that. So yeah, thank you. That was super cute. As always, if you are a maker and you want to kind of help get your word out there about your business, I believe Mary's shop is relatively new, but her website was spot on. I went to it today because I had to link to it in the thread. And yeah, if you want to get your word out, just contact either one of us. Dramatic Knits on Ravelry, Dramatic Mandy, and we will gladly give you our address so you can send some wares, and we'll be happy to give them away on the podcast. So.
It looks good with the colors that I like.
Awesome. All right. That's funny because that's almost one of the colors I had chosen to put in my stripe study with the crystal color, right? All right. Let's move into a round of applause. Last episode, we were giving away a skein of Bumblebee Acres Fiber Farm Coquette Sock in the Baggend colorway, which look like this. This is kind of sort of, they thought, Christmassy, holiday-themed colors. And we asked you to go to the Bumblebee Acres Fiber Farm shop and tell us what was your favorite in their shop. And the winner of that was number 82, L. Simon 1, and that's Linda from Illinois. So congratulations, Linda. And she said she really loved the Winterberries colorway. Well, if you like winter berries, I'm assuming it's winter themed, this might go nicely with it. So congratulations, Linda. If you would please direct message me on Ravelry with your first and last name, mailing address, and email address so I can provide you with tracking, we would greatly appreciate it. So thank you to everyone who entered. All right, moving right along. Our November 2018 Race to the Finished Object contest has come to a close because we are now firmly in December. So December's thread is open. Go post your finished objects there for a chance to win. This month, we are going to be giving away 2 items that were donated to us by 2 different people. By our fairy yarn mother, we were gifted a bunch of books, which you will see in the coming future. But I thought this one was cute. This is The Knitters, The Secret Language of Knitters, which is by Mary Beth Temple. It's a little pocket book, which is really cute and, you know, just gives you different words and relates it to knitting. And then I thought I would also throw in there, I won this from, is it Kim? I think it's Kim, of Chasing Acorns, and she's actually out of Michigan, but we ran into her. We've vended with her quite a few times, but we ran into her at Rhinebeck at the podcaster meetup, and I won this from her, but I decided to pass it along. It is a needle cozy, so it has the button snap, so you can put your DPNs in there or your needles, and then you button it, and it kind of keeps your needles in there with your work in progress. And so I thought these two things would be really cute to give away this month for the Race to the Finished Object contest. So, the winner of these two items was number 31, and that's Ginger Beadle, or Beetle, Ginger from Vermont. She had won not too long ago, and I had issues saying her last name. So, congratulations, Ginger. She did a crocheted stuffy lovey, which was like a crocheted stuffy head on like a little washcloth blanket thing. So that was really cool. Actually, both of the objects that we pulled from were crochet. So congratulations, Ginger. If you would please contact me. Again, first and last name, mailing address, and email address so I can provide you with tracking. Then the second item for a Race to the Finished Object contest is a pattern from our new featured designer, who is Susie White of Prairie Girl Designs. And the winner of that was number 72, who's Mo's Crochet. And that's Mo from Iowa, who I've had the pleasure of meeting several times. So congratulations, Mo. You've won again. And she did a crocheted cowl for her husband. So congratulations. You have won a knitted pattern, because I'm pretty sure that's all that Susie has. But, start dipping your toes into the knitting pond. So, Mo, if you would please email me on Ravelry and let me know which one of Susie White's patterns you would like. There is a link to her pattern page on our show notes at dramaticknits.com. So thank you to everyone who showed off what they knit in November. Go on, post your finished objects for December in the December thread, and we will pull for winners again at the beginning of January, beginning of 2019. All right, let's move into center stage, all things Leading Men Fiber Arts, before my voice goes out, because it is getting a little rough. All right, I did briefly mention last episode that we collaborated with Corey Eichelberger of iRock Knits Designs and YouTube podcast to come up with a 12 Days of Knitting mystery knit-along. So this knit-along is a mystery. However, there are spoiler pics already up in the iRock Knits Designs Ravelry group. So if you do not like mysteries, but you would like to see what the project is before you commit to it, there is a photo already posted in our group. And the knit-along will start on the 26th of December and go for the 12 days after that through January 6th. You will get one section of the pattern every day. And I will tell you, it is a lace sampler, and it uses two of our Showstopper gradients. So I brought one of the color pairings here. Corey selected 4 color pairings, which we have up for pre-orders, but I don't have any more on hand. We have to dye some more, and we have some in the van from the trunk show. But here's one of the color pairings, which is London Fog and Rubber Ducky. And so you can kind of choose how you want to play with the colors. You can put them together in any way you want. One of the ways that she liked doing it was light to dark and then dark to light again. You could go light to dark, light to dark. You can intersperse them. You could go dark to light, light to dark. That might actually be cool. But anyway, so pre-orders are up for our gradient sets in our shop right now, leadingmenfiberarts.com. And you will get the yarn in time to cast on December 26th. So I think we have pre-orders through the 14th, and they will ship out no later than the 17th, so you'll have them in time before the holidays. I talked about our new superwash bases coming up, so make sure to keep an eye and ear out for that. If you haven't signed up for our Leading Men Fiber Arts newsletter, I highly suggest you do that. You can either go to the bottom of our webpage, there's a link for our newsletter, or in the left-hand sidebar on our Facebook page. Our 2018 year in review sets are coming along. I can't wait till the next episode and the newsletter and Instagram and Facebook to start sharing them with you. I will tell you that our mini skein collections are going to be adorable. They will come with 12 mini skeins, one for each month of 2018, where we had a new colorway, because this year we did one every month. And they will be inside a project bag provided by Whimsy Stitches. and it has a library theme to this whole collection this year. So the bag has a library theme, and then you will also get a digital copy of Corey Eichelberger's Knitting at the Library cowl to use the mini skeins with. So we're super excited. I've been designing and making things for it, so it'll be a lot of work, but it's going to be super cute. So the year in review sets, you can either get the mini skein collection, which comes with all of that, or you can purchase full skeins of Showstopper. If you do full skeins, that's 12 full skeins, and it will be priced at a 10% discount. So essentially, you'll get like a skein free. Yeah, I think that's right. About 10%. Essentially, you get like a skein free. So I think is how we're going to do it. So keep an eye out for that on January 1st. We will do it until we sell out, or it will be up the entire month of January. So that's what we've done in the past. But there will only be 100 mini skein sets. That's it. That's all we ordered. That's all we bought. That's it. So unlike the previous years where we kept dyeing minis, these collections are only going to be at 100. No real news on the Leading Men Fiber Arts Knitting at the Estate retreat, other than keep an eye and ear out for January 14th. That's when signups will go up on knittingattheestate.com. If you have questions about pricing, timeline, and or teachers, what you get, any of that, it's all at knittingattheestate.com. Upcoming shows, I got nothing. We're not traveling for 2 months. Get to hang out with this girl, get to hang out with my man, get to hang out with my dogs. She's sad because we're not going anywhere, so she doesn't get to puppy sit. But you get to puppy sit when we go away for a week. We are going away in like 3 weeks, so.
It's not enough. I told them I need like some parental rights, because I need some visitation rights, because it's not just hard on me, it's hard on them. They're used
She's
to me.
here like 50 to 60 hours a week. She gets enough time with the dogs.
I need some nighttime visitation. We need some sleepovers.
Anyway, until we see you again in a couple of weeks, do not forget you can find the show on iTunes, YouTube, and dramaticknits.com. You can find the shop at leadingmenfiberarts.com, which will take you right over to the shop now. And you can follow us on Instagram and Ravelry and Facebook and all the social medias. And until we see you again right before the holidays, we hope you
Knit something dramatic.